all our really lovely little flowers, little blossoms and bumblebees here that we're going to add to our beautiful wreath that will go on the side of our cake. But first of all, before we start making the wreath, we're going to want to group a few of these together. So like the berries and maybe a couple of the leaves, we will group together into a spray, and then we will add this to the wreath. And I'll take you through how to do all of these steps. So what you'll need is some florist tape. I'm just going to cut a piece off here. Now, I actually fold mine over twice, and the reason I do this is because I will then cut down the center to make a thinner piece of tape. You can buy tape cutters as well. I actually find them a little bit fiddly, so I prefer to just do mine this way. It's much easier. And just make sure you do this before you activate the stickiness. And to activate the stickiness, we literally just take either end and we pull. And by stretching it, this side will be very sticky. And that's how we'll attach our groups of flowers and berries together. So I have my berries here, and as I've talked about in previous classes and in my Skillshare class specifically, it's always best to work in groups of 3. 3s and maybe 5s, but odd numbers seem to work really well when it comes to sugar flower work. So this concept is the same thing that you would do if you were assembling a spray of flowers. Finding the sticky part of our tape. Let's take the top of our wire, just underneath where the berry is. We're just going to secure that tape around and stick it back down onto itself, just like that. Can be a tiny bit fiddly, but you'll just see it will secure itself like this. And then holding that down, we're going to twist and pull the tape at the same time, twisting that wire as we go. Pull in with your other hand so that it covers the wire. And you want to do this with all of your wires so that they all look the same, because what will happen is you'll see the difference in the wire when these are all grouped together. So if you can wrap all of them, that's fantastic. It can be a little bit long-winded, but it's definitely worth it at the end, especially if you're doing like competition work. This is the kind of thing that they will look out for. So I'll just show you again. Taking that tape, securing it round so that it sticks, and then we just, using the warmth of our hands and kind of pressing it down onto the wire so that stickiness is there. We're just kind of twisting this as we go with our other hand here, allowing the tape to pull down, and then we just snap that off at the end. So now we have our wires covered. You want to take one berry and then take the second one, and we're going to secure this just a little bit further down the wire. So you can kind of just bend this and place them next to each other, but we're keeping this one a little bit further down. And then just where our little bend is, we'll take our tape and just do the same thing again, but we're placing the tape around where that join is. And then we can wrap the tape down a little bit, and then we want to take the next berry. Again, just bend it a little bit down below where the berry is, and we can just place that one a little bit lower here. So we're just placing it next to the other berry here. Just going to snap that tape off And then take my tape, and again just do what we did before, just place it around where that join is, and then we can run the tape down all 3 of these wires so that they're all secured together. So really simple. That's just how you make one small little spray of berries. And then you can carry this on. So we could do this for 5 or 7 berries. And then what's great is you can just move these around so they can be bunched quite closely together, or you can have them sticking out a little bit. So then we have a little bunch of berries together. Now the leaves, we can do in a similar way. We can actually turn these into a little spray. Now just for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to cover all these wires in the tape, but I think it's definitely something you should do for your finished project. So here's our leaf. Attach my tape. As before. And then I want my leaves to be coming out at the sides. So I'll take my next leaf, going to bend it right at the base, but towards my left. Actually, towards my left. And then where the bend has been made is where you'll start to add the tape. And then we'll do the same with the other side. Going to bend our leaf. We're going to bend our leaf outwards and then place it right next to the other leaf. And again, we just go down with the tape. And you make a little sprig of leaves like this. And what you can do is you can keep going down. So you could add more leaves onto here. So you could keep going down and make a whole branch, which is fantastic for lots of different projects. But in this instance, and for our wreath, I'm just going to do 3 to a branch, and a few I will actually keep separate as well for the design. So for your wreath, you're going to need some 18 gauge florist wire, and we are going to bend this in to a circle. But I won't bend it completely yet because it will make it harder to attach all those blossoms to. So just bend it very slightly, and really the best thing to do is to do this twice, and then we will attach this at the end. So we will actually attach these 2 pieces here together. And what's great about the wire is that you can bend it however you need. Another really good thing to remember is to leave these ends pointing downwards. So you can do this with pliers if you need to, and you want to leave a couple of centimetres, maybe 3 to 4 centimetres of wire that point downwards. And really that is so you can actually insert this into the cake when it's all complete, because obviously you need to figure how you'll attach it. So that really helps. Right. So now really it's just deciding what blossoms that you're going to use first. So I'm going to go in with a few different colours. You can get some of these nice orange ones in here. Remember, I have made a previous video that shows you how to make all of these flowers and the berries and the leaves and the bumblebees. So everything is there for you, and this is just the second stage. So now you just want to go in with some more florist tape. We're going to leave a little bit of a gap at the top of, this is the top of our wire. So we're going to leave a little bit of a gap here because we need to be able to secure it to the other wire. And we're going to take our blossom, and about halfway down, well actually a few millimeters down, we're going to attach our tape. Wrap this round a few times just so that it's nice and secure, and then we want to take our wire and work in on what will be the outside of the wire, but it doesn't matter too much because the idea is that you can bend these round. You want to place your blossom next to the wire and then begin to wrap your tape around the wire and the blossom. So we'll do a couple of times round, and there we go. It's nice and secure and it's on the wire. And don't worry about this bit here because we're going to be working our way down with the tape, so this will eventually be covered. I'm going to go in with another red flower and do the same thing, but this time I'll bend it below where the flower is, and I want to place it just about here, so a little bit lower, but actually they're still very close together, as you'll see. This is where I finished wrapping with the tape, so I can just carry on back around with my tape going down here. So as you can see, we're just going to keep pulling and wrapping that tape and just make sure that the tape is stuck and secure onto the wire. It's already starting to take shape. Look how quickly that happens. And again, the great thing is you can just move these around when you're finished. So now I think I'm going to definitely go in with one of these little bumblebees that I've made because they're so pretty. I'm going to bend it again here and a little bit lower where I've just finished off with the tape. I'm going to add my little bumblebee. And you just keep going with that tape. So you want to actually cut quite a large or long piece of tape off when you first start. But if you run out of tape, it's fine, just cut some more and keep going. So there we go. We're just wrapping that all the way down. And then now I think I'm going to go in with my blue and some of the orange as well. So I just, again, same thing, a little bit lower, bend it, and just keep wrapping. And you can be creative here and add the colours however you want to. So it's really up to you. And you can do this with any wired flower, basically. And the whole idea is that you will just keep doing this and go in all the way down the wire. So I have my leaves that I've made, a little bunch of leaves, and I think this will be the perfect opportunity to add these in here. And I'm going to put my leaves just about here on the wire. I'm going to let them climb their way up behind some of these petals. So you don't want to leave like massive gaps. You want everything to be quite nice and tight together. So I've run out of tape there, so I'll cut some more. But yeah, you don't want to leave massive gaps. You want to kind of let things overlap and be close together, because then it will look like a really beautiful wreath, and there'll be a lot of things going on, and it'll just add lots of interest. And the reason I go for a really thick base wire using an 18 gauge is it's just way more sturdy and makes this a lot easier to do. If you don't have an 18 gauge, I think like a 22 would be absolutely fine. So again, I'm just going to pop this in here. You can just move those around a little, and again, just twist that tape round the wire. This is so relaxing to do. I could make a million of these and just keep going. So add a little bit of green in there, and then I think we should add our berries. I think we should start to get some berries in here. So again, just going to take some of the berries, and I'm going to allow these to stick out quite far. So I'm going to bend these out this way and then carry on round with the tape. So I definitely want a few more reds in here. So I'm going to start again. Add in the red flower underneath this berry here, as you can see. And then I think I want to bunch these ones up a little more closely. So I'm going to just bend this one and have this quite close next to the other blossom. And you probably will get a few little breakages as you go. You might get a few little ones, don't worry too much. But put that one there, and I think I'll go in with maybe some of my darker purple flowers as well. So if you can do this on a soft surface, that is really helpful as well. Just because if you do tend to drop this down, if you put it on like a piece of foam, then you're less likely to break this lovely wreath that you've just made, rather than doing it on like a marble table like I am here. But that's just so it's a lot clearer for you guys in the video. So yeah, I like that little purple there. I think I'll add another little purple a bit lower down here. Just gonna put this one here. And then I definitely think we need another bumblebee. I love these bees so much, so I definitely want to make the most of these. So, and these little sugar bumblebee molds I will have on my Etsy store. I'll post the link below, but you can buy the mold on there as well, along with some other really fun stuff. So these ones, again, so when the really important thing is when you are adding your blossoms, make sure there is a little piece of wire still sticking out. You don't want to like attach this super close to the wire. I mean, a few, so like this one's a little closer, but these ones have more movement, so kind of allow quite a few of them to stick away from the wire like this, so that you can move them around once you've placed this on the cake and just get everything into the position you want. Because if you attach it too firmly, then you can't really move them very far, and you can't kind of manipulate or change the shape. So I will want a few of my flowers pointing inwards as well, and in towards the wreath, or in towards the center of the wreath. That makes sense. So again, just wrap this around. Now I'm probably holding my wreath really awkwardly, and it's actually just because I'm trying to film this so you guys can see, but if you are doing this at home, you probably wouldn't have to hold it in such an awkward position. It would make it a lot easier for you. And you want to make quite a lot of these little flowers so that you have enough to work with and add to your design. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep adding more flowers to this wreath, and I'll do the other side as well, and then I will show you how you attach both sides together, and we will get ready and place that on our cake. Okay, so I've done my second wreath, or second side of my wreath, just here. And then what you can do is we're going to start to slightly just bend this round, so just be very gentle. We just kind of want to find gaps where we can between our flowers and just slightly coax this round so that we get the kind of shape that we want. And this is meant to be kind of my meadow inspired wreath, so it's very natural, very organic. It's not going to be a complete perfect circle. If you did want to do a complete perfect circle, then my recommendation would be to buy a hoop and attach your flowers to that hoop. If you'd like me to show you that, then just put a comment below underneath this video and I will get around to filming how to do that. But this is a very natural, organic floral wreath, which I think is very fitting with the flowers that we have too. So here is one side, and here is the other side to this wreath. So we've got our little join here, which will be the bit that goes inside the cake. And now obviously we need to join these two pieces here. I would say join the bottom first. It's the sturdiest bit. Do any bending that you wish now. So I'm going to just bend this a little bit more because it's not sitting very flat, and I think that's going to cause me a few problems. And just pop any kind of little blossoms that are very delicate out of the way. Kind of make sure most of them are probably facing you so that we reduce the chance of breakages. But we're literally going to go in and just take some florist tape and just wrap it around here. So again, this is really nice and complicated. Can be a little bit fiddly. But we get there. So just taking your tape, you want to just wrap this around both points. So we have our 2 points here, and this is where we're going to wrap our tape, which can be nice and a little bit complicated sometimes, but we'll do it. We will get there. So I want to press that down so that it's nice and firm, and then I'll probably have to lift this up towards me to kind of do the rest. So it's a little bit complicated. Just have a nice firm grip on your floral wreath and you will be fine. Don't worry about this bit being a little bit untidy with the tape. You're not going to see this. This is going to go into the cake, and we're going to pop this into a florist pick so that it's nice and food safe. But you just want to wrap this, and I'd actually advise just going up and down these two pieces a few times so you can kind of go back up the wire with the tape, because you want this to be quite thick so that it slots into that florist pick really tightly. So we're just going to kind of thicken this with layers of tape. We're just kind of going around a few times. Okay, we can just snap that off at the end. Just press that together so we get all that tape nice and secure. So realistically, if you wanted, you could just leave this open and have this on your cake kind of sitting like this. But we're going to close ours together and I'll show you how to do that. So again, just as we did with the bottom part, just take a small piece of tape. Just move any kind of flowers out of the way. Now I have attached a flower a little bit closer to the end, and my bumblebee is sticking out a little bit so that I can kind of use these to hide this gap that we're going to make. But I am actually going to wrap another flower amongst this. So just, you're going to want to bend your wires a little bit just so it is a nice circle when it meets, as much as possible. And then just place both the wires next to each other. So I'm going to just have them next to each other like this. So you can join them dead at the end, so they're kind of kissing. So yes, you could join them dead together like that, so they both kind of touch. But I find it's a little bit easier just to slightly overlap them. It just makes it a bit more sturdy and a bit easier to get that tape around both ends. But honestly, it can be down to personal preference. So I'm literally touching these together, taking my tape and just securing that. And then once you've done the first tape, it should be quite easy to wrap the tape around. And again, I'm going to just go back and forth with this. I'm going to take it back round that join just a few times. Now we're going to cover this with a flower, so don't worry too much. Again, if it's a tiny bit messy, but you just want to keep wrapping it and just pressing that tape down, making sure that it is sticking and nice and secure. Honestly, do this a few times. What we can do, if you're worried about this little gap, is I like to just take a small flower and I will literally just wrap that around. So I'm just going to press this wire up against here, holding it with my finger, and then just taking the other length of the wire, and I'm just going to wrap this around here a few times. And then we can just hide that little extra piece under here. And then we can move all the other little petals and flowers and things, so like move my little bumblebee and everything else into here so that it does hide where that join is. But that really is it. So there we have our floral wreath. I mean, it really is quite simple. A little bit fiddly, but incredibly effective when you get the piece at the end. And that is ready to now place onto our cake.